Hi there and welcome to Jill's Quest for Riches. Now in today's episode we are going to talk about how to get started with passive investing. It will be mostly about choosing the right platform, and I will follow up with some more in detail videos to dig deeper and actually make your choices of which passive investments you want to go for. But that's a bit too much to do in one video, so let's start with this. Today I'm quite happy. Why is that? Because today one of my more risky investments took quite a big spike up, Rocket Lab, so felt the need to share it. But let's get to business. So first off, if you don't know what passive investing is, of course I have a video for that, but in a nutshell, it's doing sensible investing without putting too much time into it. That's maybe too short explanation, so definitely check the link and the card that I'm adding here, but we'll do with that for now. And most of the time, or the most practical way to do passive investing is through ETFs, exchange traded funds. I also have a video about that. I will put the link and a link card here in the video, but also in a nutshell, it's basically funds that you would otherwise buy at a bank or at an institution that you can trade as if they are stocks. That's why they're called exchange traded funds. Now, why would I be doing passive investing, right? You've seen a previous video of mine where it showed that stock picking actually was paying off quite well for me. Well, first of all, I don't always have the time that is needed to do proper stock picking. Secondly, there's quite some intelligent, more experienced people than me in the investing world who say that, okay, on the long term stock picking doesn't work. You need to go for broad trackers or broad indexes. I think there's a very good chance that they're right. And third, it's also a way for me to maybe de-risk my portfolio a bit. I have a lot of exposure in individual stocks. By putting some money into specific trackers or funds that are spread along a broader basket, I de-risk my portfolio. But of course, I also lose the extreme upside potential. The most important thing we're going to discuss in this video is, of course, okay, what platform should you be picking if you want to start passive investing? Well, there's a few things that are very important for you to pay attention to. It's transaction costs, and they're partly linked to the frequency with which you want to do passive investing, and the offer of the platform. So how many trackers do they offer, and do they offer the trackers that you're interested in, right? When it comes to transaction costs, my favorite, or let's say not my favorite, but the platform on which I have most of my portfolio links is actually not ideal. You have to think you're at least at €6 transaction costs. If we take a scenario of passive investing where every month I would put aside €300 to put in passive investing, and I would spread that over maybe 3 different investments, trackers, indexes, ETFs, you name it, that would be €100 each. That means 3 times €6 transaction costs for each €100. That's already 6% down the drain. It's very difficult to come back from that. So links, unfortunately, big fan of the platform, but not for passive investing. You could say, okay, maybe I don't want to invest every month, but every quarter. Then it's a bit less tricky, but still, then we're talking €6 on 3 times more, so 300. It's still 2%, so I think that's still high, but it's manageable, let's say. So what are the platforms that I would consider? I'm only talking about platforms that I know that I'm using from day to day. So the platforms that I would recommend are Bucks and Degiro. If you want to go deeper into why I like these platforms, what is good, what is bad about them, I also have a video about that. I will put the link here somewhere. But for today's episode, what is most important in terms of passive investing is Bucks. Well, transaction cost wise, they have something called zero order, so you pay €0. It means your transaction is only executed at the end of the day and you're not certain it gets executed. But for passive investing, that's just fine. If it doesn't get executed the first day, then you just put it in again and hopefully it gets executed the second day. But it's executed also at market price, so that's a bit more risky. You cannot put a limit. They do offer limit orders, and there the transaction cost is €1. So still very fair. If we take the scenario of 3 different investments per month, each of €100, then we're talking about only 1% transaction cost. So that's great. I think €1 is also the maximum fee you can get charged on any transaction at Bucks, if I'm not mistaken. Do mind, however, that even in with the zero orders, where you don't pay any transaction cost, you still need to pay transaction taxes to the state. Those are minimal, but just letting you know, we're talking about a few cents per stock. The downside about Bucks is that they have a very, very limited selection of ETFs to invest in. I quickly counted, and today they have 42. Now they're actively enlarging this set. Only a few days ago they added another 10 or 12, and they'll probably continue adding. But nonetheless, today 42 ETFs to choose from. To be fair, apart from the fact that the list is growing, you can also find the most important ones in there. Like if you want an S&P 500, you will find that. If you want a dividend-oriented tracker fund, you will find that. But the choices are limited. They do also offer a few thematic ETFs, so that's interesting as well. For example, if you want to invest in, I don't know if they have this one, but water or robotics or AI, then you go for thematic ETFs. So that's Bucks, but what about Degiro? For Degiro, actually, it's relatively simple. They have an online calculator. I will put the link in the description, where you can just input the transactions that you aim to do for the amounts that you aim to do, and they will let you know how much transaction costs that is going to be on a yearly basis. When I did my calculations, my simulations for a few different scenarios, I always ended up being a little bit over €1. So I think that is very fair. But what makes Degiro even more interesting is that they also have something called a core selection of ETFs, and there you pay 0 transaction costs. I think you have about 100 options, so that's considerably more than on Bucks, and they definitely have the most popular ones. And I found Russell 2000, definitely S&P 500, but also a few European ones. So a decent amount of choice there as well. Those are the 2 platforms that I would recommend. Of course, it's up to you to choose. I'm not a financial advisor. You make your own choices, you take your own risks. I just want you to be as informed as possible. In 1 or 2 following episodes, I hope to dig a bit deeper into which markets you might be interested in, or which sectors, and more importantly, how should you make your choice, and which ETFs, what should you be paying attention to when you choose an ETF. But that's it for today. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye.